Good morning, Pulkit.
Good morning, Nick. How are you?
I'm very good. How are you?
Doing good, doing great.
Great. So, thanks for being with us today. And I don't want to say anything. I leave it to you. Please introduce yourself and what you do. You're an expert in wellness, but I leave the introduction to you.
Thanks a lot, Nick. Thanks a lot, Shirley. And thanks for having me over here on your platform. I'm really intrigued and grateful for you for inviting me over here. So, to start with my introduction, Nick, I started my entrepreneurial journey way back in April 2016. And content marketing was my first endeavor in the world of entrepreneurship. As I progressed in that, around 2017, I thought of, for the first time, felt the need, to have something to be working around the wellness space. And that's where, I started out with things in the wellness domain, started my discovery in the wellness domain. And in October 2019, we finally launched Anya Wellness, officially launched Anya Wellness with my co-founder. But unfortunately, the very first launch of Anya Wellness was very warmly welcomed by the first wave of COVID, and we had to take a back step for nearly 3 to 4 months because the very first vertical that we launched under Anya was wellness tourism. So the idea was to enable anybody within India or coming from outside to India to find and have personalized solution to their retreats. So that was the whole idea we were starting off with. But yeah, we all had to go through the COVID, which eventually disrupted the travel industry the most. And finally, after nearly 4 years, we have been able to get back onto the tourism vertical. We just relaunched the tourism vertical for us in January 2024. But yes, the last 4 years have been really enriching and really learning, for us, where we got a lot of experience and exposure to the wellness industry. And I believe whatever the numbers say, like coming in from Global Wellness Institute or Gallup or anywhere, the industry is probably much bigger than what any of us is able to envisage right now. With 7 billion people, more than that, living on this planet Earth, everybody needs wellness in one form or the other. And personalization is the scope. I would say when we are able to personalize things to the last mile, then we would have captured, the whole industry in its essence. We are still at the tip of the iceberg right now.
Very nice frame, and thanks for what you shared. You mentioned Anya Wellness.
Yeah.
I am witnessing your approach to wellness. He started from the tourism, and then he expanded into, let's say, a more comprehensive and holistic embracement of wellness. So today we're gonna, stepping in the context, we're gonna talk about emotions and mindset. And based on your experience, personal and professional especially, to what degree do you think the emotional science, emotional management, regulation, and awareness, it contributes to overall well-being?
Nick, as per me, emotions, form the foundation for everything. One of the major things that differentiate human beings from any other living creature out there, is our ability to express our emotions in a very profound manner. We can express ourselves, but the irony of this fact is we don't. A lot of times we just keep our emotions within ourselves. We don't share, we don't talk, we don't communicate, and that's where a lot of issues, just get seeded, and then they nurture. I would not say nurture might not be the right word to use over here, but eventually they turn up like a volcano erupts after a long silence. That's what happens when we have our emotions, within us, kept within us for a very long time. So for me, emotions form the foundation for anything and everything that we as humans do. Um, and it's really important out there, like in the wellness industry, if we get out there, post pandemic and even during pandemic, we saw a lot of rise in the emotional, cases where a lot of people reached out and started accepting emotional traumas as a serious issue. Before that, many didn't even acknowledge it. So we are seeing some progress in it, and anything in the wellness, be it even the modern medicine or the conventional medicine, the natural healing scope, emotions are the root for everything, I would say.
Love it. I'm biased. I know it, but I love your point very much. I mean, emotion is the foundation. We are emotional beings. We say
Yep.
very often. Uh, do you have any example of something that Anya Wellness did oriented in emotion and they helped a client to dissipate negative emotions, to overcome an issue maybe? As you said, the pandemic, we will point something good about the COVID, about that period, is that people got attuned into their own emotions. And of course,
Yep.
the journey is not linear, it might not be easy as well, but it's something that it has to be done in order to understand who you are, in order to understand others. So back to the question, do you have any real life case study to share?
Nick, there are multiple of such scenarios where we at Anya Wellness have contributed towards the emotional wellness domain. Um, while COVID happened and our launch was sort of scratched off in March 2020, we were approached by our incubator at that time to do a session on adversity quotient for the founders in the same incubations, ecosystem. We had what approximately 250 startup founders joining that webinar that was taken by one of our AQ coaches, and we were scheduled for 1.5 hours, and it lasted for nearly 4 hours. There were so many questions coming in from the startup founders because nobody knew what's happening around them. Their contracts were cancelled, their retainers was called off, they were not having any place of inflows, but expenses were standing on top of their head. They had to pay the salaries, they had to pay the rents and whatnot. While people did extend some warmth over there, they provided some extension in timelines and deadlines, but the anxiety was just eating them up, and that's where a lot of questions came in. Then what we did was, after the 3 months we took off to understand and restructure our business model, we started off with online wellness sessions out there, be it yoga, be it mental health. And we suddenly saw an increase in a lot of individuals reaching out to me from my inner circle. Pulkit, we need support for anxiety. We need support for stress. We need support for XYZ thing out there. And within just what a span of probably 4 weeks, we had approximately 30 people coming to me, and we were enabling those sessions for them. Moving further, one of the recent case studies we did was for one of the leading edtech giants in India, probably the only profitable unicorn edtech in India right now. And we helped them establish a CSR vertical, corporate social responsibility vertical for their organization, which helps students preparing for competitive exams in the Indian education system to battle their stress, anxiety, or any other emotional issue that they are going through. And trust me, Nick, I was just left startled. I don't have words to explain after I got to go through the inputs that were shared over there by the students. And at times it just feels that our problems are pretty small, pretty minuscule in front of what those students had to go through.
Oh, very insightful, very insightful. I do love when experts like you share what happens in real life, when we really witness the importance of emotional dysregulation. Then we are like, as you said, started, like, wow, this is something crucial and it's something important. You mentioned educational institutes. How important is for them to embrace this typology of education and empower their audiences with this typology of tools?
I would say, Nick, if learning maths and English is important, then learning emotional intelligence is far more important than learning these two languages or these two subjects out there. Uh, as an education system, I'm a product of that education system. You're the, you're also have come through a particular education system in the UK. I'm not sure of what happens in the UK, but if I talk about what happens over in India, we're just busy producing students from an education system that's good, that has made what I am today, that gave me the insights and knowledge which I'm able to use for my life. But somewhere or the other, one point that the education system currently lacks is enabling students emotionally. We often are not able to, or you know don't acknowledge the elephant in the room. We are just like, okay, we just brush it up and we put the dust under the rug, and we're like, okay, it's covered now. We don't talk about the issues. We just want to pass on the baton or the responsibility to somebody else. The institutions pass it back on to the parents, parents pass it back on to the education institutes. It just keeps revolving in that vicious circle, and nobody says stop. I'm going to take the accountability for it. I'm going to help the student battling probably we are not even aware of. Once a teenager, once a kid enters the teens, it's a havoc going on in his or her mind. They are going through so many hormonal changes, and very few kids get that guidance or get that insights to understand what's happening to them. In a lot of schools, I have seen the reproduction chapter just being said to read and mug up the answers and just write it out, vomit out on the examination sheets. Nobody's teaching them what's happening to their body sexually. How is their body evolving for the reproduction of the overall human race? Nobody talks about it. So there are a lot of things which needs to be acknowledged, and especially by the education institutes, if anybody can take up this endeavor. I've had certain conversations. I cannot take the names. I cannot mention the places, but we see a lot of increase in suicide rates among students because they don't know how to manage those adversities better, how to say, I cannot do it. Please let me choose a different option. Please let me choose a different stream of education. I don't want to pursue science. I want to get into arts. A lot of those things have to be taught. A lot of, that environment has to be provided where students can easily open up and, reach out.
Very interesting. I grasped few very important words from you, saying stop to the cycle of passing or dumping bad emotions, and say stop. I'm gonna take responsibility for my emotional field. Of course, it takes some typology of training. This is a way of re-educating ourselves on something that, yeah, is broadly dismissed. As you said, the educational system or systems, talking like broadly, they focus on creating professions. Emotional intelligence helps to create humans before the profession. Yep. I would like to keep going on this line. Let's talk about workplace and good humans and emotional intelligence. You mentioned the word adversities as well and how to overcome them. And I think every philosophy agrees on the fact that life is a challenge. Okay. We're gonna face adversities at some point, somehow.
That's true. That's true.
Especially in the professional workplace. So, how is important to knowing your emotions, regulate your emotions, and use those emotions in a way that's gonna serve you, they're gonna be useful to you in the workplace and outside. Like when you come back home, just detach from everything bad that happened or everything that really didn't go as you were wishing.
Mhm.
How this blending well-being as well, how this helps to feel more serene, and it contributes to well-being holistically.
I hear you, Nick, on this, and I will just go back to the previous question and come to this question. You know, one of the another reasons that emotional intelligence is important for students is you're forming the next race in line. The people, the individuals who are gonna be, occupying your seats once you retire, once you become old. As you evolve, they are the ones who are taking your responsibilities, and then they have to run the world. In an endeavor and unintentionally, a lot of times kids are not exposed to a lot of scenarios which we often feel we are safeguarding them, but is required for them to be exposed to and provided that emotional evolution. So if a student or if an individual in his or her childhood has not been provided that emotional release, that somewhere that starts to reflect or reverberate in his or her adulthood. Either they become too irritated, they become too extrovert in a manner that they always lash out at people, or they become too introvert and they don't even share, they just stay in their own cocoon. It all starts at the very base of it, where a child understands what emotions are, how do I manage my emotions, how do I share my emotions, with whom do I share my emotions. All these things, if are answered at the very right age for an individual, they evolve in that manner. If not, then we are seeing a lot of workplace wellness initiatives being taken by the corporates right now to resolve these issues. If probably these things are catered at during the childhood itself, we might not even require these terminologies in the workplace. We would already have an emotionally intelligent workforce out there. But a lot of it is subjective. If that were catered in the during the childhood, we might have had something else to be catered during the in the workplace. But yes, in order to have a conducive workplace, an emotionally intelligent being is important. It's imperative out there. And one of the major takeaways for me in my journey so far, Nick, has been to give benefit of doubt. The other day, I was just watching a video by Dharman, and it was on a similar topic where you need to give benefit of doubt because we are not aware what any individual is going through in their personal lives or the battle that they are fighting, but we are very fast and comfortable in passing judgments to these people. So that's something very important. Every workplace should be looking at fostering a culture of giving a benefit of doubt and providing a space without any prejudice or any bias, so that people can really open up and probably ask for help, reach out for help. So that's something really important.
It is a very profound and strong message, Pulkit. Thank you for that. Is integrating education from when the next generation is still young. I take it as a prevention to problems
Yeah.
rather than resolution. So the companies, corporates will not really face the need of using this typology of training because the humans are aware about their emotions, they can relate to each other, they can preach cooperation, unity, cohesion, and professionally speaking, this is the core of performance. Yeah, when the team get together, they can perform. When there are inner conflicts, it's extremely hard to see the deadlines matched, achieved, and the goals or the mission fulfilled. Pulkit, before concluding these 20 minutes together, you have experience with institutions, corporates, and as you said, they are getting into the topic gradually. It's something that not each and every company or corporate or reality, let's say, is embracing yet. What is your advice to those companies that are still, watching from the window and trying to understand, okay, is it useful? Is it not useful? What would you say to them?
Nick, though I have something else as well to share on this,
Please.
but one thing that I don't remember who said this, but if you take care of your employees will take care of your company. So that would be my message to the companies who are yet to, take the first step towards corporate wellness or employee wellness out there. But something that I really experienced in our last 4 years of journey, because there was a time when we were very actively promoting corporate wellness initiatives as one of our major service offerings. One of the major challenges, even certain HRs or smaller organization, bigger organization, both I'm considering over here when I say this, even if they're ready to take the first step, the question that they ask me is, Pulkit, we have done similar initiatives in the past, but employees don't come up. If you can solve that problem for us, we are more than happy to, engage you. And we tried different initiatives. We tried a lot of things in different manner. But that the first step needs to be taken by the employee, not the employer. If the employee does not ask for anything, the employer does not feel the need for it to be there. So if the employees start asking, I need this support, I need this initiative to be in the organization, I don't think so any employer would say no to that, given that it's something justified out there. But yes, depends on the majority as well. If a lot of employees come up and say that we need this emotional support, we need corporate wellness initiatives, I don't think so any company out there is ever going to say no. If there are employees who are taking care of their company, who are responsible for making their company where it is today, anybody is going to say no out there.
It's a great point. It could be counterproductive if the employees are asking for or are foreseeing the importance of working in a healthy environment and not a toxic environment. They're gonna be happier. They're not gonna take days off from work. They're gonna feel more engaged, more productive, and waking up in the morning and thinking, I'm gonna go to a place that I like.
Yeah.
Is intrinsically useful for the company. Yeah.
Yes.
Pulkit, thanks for everything you shared. It was very insightful, and I really hope to have another chat as well, because I see you as an expert, and I do love to compare cultures and typology of companies, personal attitude, personally, professionally. So I'm sure we have a lot more to share. And thank you for today. I'm very grateful.
Anytime, Nick. Thanks a lot for hosting me. And we have an initiative called We Are Listening in order to support emotion intelligence. So for your listeners, if anybody would like to vent out anonymously, they can reach out. It's a free of cost service. We don't charge anything. It's a voluntary service from our end. And you can just come and vent out. You can share anything you want anonymously. That's the beauty of it. Thanks a lot, Nick.
Love it. This really gave the sense of improving society and not doing it for money. This is our real mission as human beings. Love it.
Yes.
Thank you, Pulkit. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thanks a lot, Nick.
And thanks again for today. Thank you.
Thank you.